This is the Sports Hit List. By the fans, for the fans.
Episode 4 of the Pro Wrestling Mount Rushmore series, carte blanche for the Sports Hit List by the fans and for the fans. Let me introduce my panel. We have TK the Tank, Tom Kenny. He's not talking baseball or football, but he is talking pro wrestling. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Carl. Thanks for having me.
We have Rockland County's favorite son, Mr. Ricardo Etienne, out of Florida. How you doing, sir?
Doing good, man. Glad to be here as always.
We have Nick Maldonado and Mr. No Days Off. How you doing, sir?
Glad to be here, Carl.
And we have the president of Geek Nation, Matt. Matt, how you doing, sir?
Doing great, Carl. Thanks for having me.
All right, so episode 4, this Mount Rushmore has created some controversy. People rolling eyes. Last episode, Ricardo's man's Clint caused some drama and
Ronda Rousey.
Yeah. So we move.
Yeah, that was wild.
We move along to the stables. We go along to the stables. So Rick, let me start off first with you. Stables is a very important part of pro wrestling. We all love the stables.
Yeah.
We all want to join them. So who cracks your list of all-time pro wrestling history of stables?
All right, man. You get that intro, you shouted out Clint, and then you came to me first. So let's see if I shake things up a little bit. So first and foremost, I got 2 honorable mentions. Throw out the Freebirds and the New Day. I'm not gonna put them on my Mount Rushmore just because both of them, while technically stables, because it was more than 2 guys, generally we see them as a tag team, even though they are trios. But definitely want to shout them out, specifically the New Day, man. What they've been able to do over the course of their run is amazing. So honorable mention to the 2 of them. So first 2 right off the bat, I feel like is easy for me. I'm gonna go NWO, DX, NWO. Neither one on top of the other necessarily. I think both of them came along at the perfect time in the industry when it was needed the most. The Monday Night Wars is probably, as far as I'm concerned, one of the pinnacle moments throughout the industry from the entire history of the industry. And it was DX and NWO that kind of made it as amazing as it was. So those are my top 2. No order specifically. Next up, I gotta go with the Shield, man. Like what they were able to do. Again, technically it's just 3 guys. They never really expanded and whatnot. But the way they broke into the industry, the way they were more or less forced down our throats, but hey, the universe loved it. The individual success each of these guys have gone on to kind of see since coming out as the Shield, absolutely amazing. And last but not least, I know the ladies have been taking some heat on these Mount Rushmore so far, but I got to shout out the 4 horsewomen, man. Like, again, even in some of the things that have been said about the ladies division so far in the Mount Rushmore, I think kind of solidifies the case of what this group of women have done for that division specifically, and for all of them to kind of be able to do it together and rise at the same time and break off and individually have success, come together and work, split apart, do separate things. We see it time and time again. Every time the WWE is in a pinch when it comes to the women's division, they're turned into one of those 4 ladies, man. So I know it might be just because it's hot and fresh and new, but what those 4 women are doing in their career right now, and they still got plenty of time to go, I think they deserve to be up there.
All right, so he goes to 4 horsewomen, the Shield, DX, and NWO. Let's go to TK the Tank. Tom, who you got?
All right, so my number 4 on my list, I'm going to go first off with Evolution, which may be a little controversial, but I think Evolution belongs on here based upon when you look at all 4 men, where they were in their careers, and really the stories they were able to tell from then on in. I mean, you had Randy Orton elevated to win his first world title, the youngest to do it at the time. You had Batista headlining a main event of WrestleMania after that, so it helped those guys. It helped Triple H stay relevant, and it really gave Ric Flair one nice kind of coast to the finish line there at the end of his run. And I really like Evolution. I liked where they were at the time. I like Triple H's reign of terror because I'm a Triple H fan. Not so much the matches, but just the idea that it happened. And so they're my number 4. Going number 3, I'm going with the 4 Horsemen. Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, Ole Anderson, and Tully Blanchard, the original 4 Horsemen. I I guess as a faction, you can include everyone from Sting to Barry Windham to Lex Luger, other guys who had joined and left at the time. But the Four Horsemen really set the bar and really, even with different members, were around for 15 straight years and really ruled over WCW and were an impressive faction until really my number one comes. But I'll get to my number one later. My number two is DX. Triple H, Shawn Michaels, originally with, Rick Rude, all those guys coming in, just changing, just really bring a lot of attitude into the WWF. Them and Stone Cold could really be a starting point of where the Attitude Era kicked off when you look at it. So the DX was super, super important. And even after Michaels left, and it was Triple H, China, Road Dogg, X-Pac, and Billy Gunn, they were still really over and led Triple H to his first title win where he broke off, and then the McMahon-Helmsley era. So that was really successful long-term of a stable. But my number one, I have to go to, my number one faction is NWO. Hulk Hogan turning heel at Bash at the Beach really changed the landscape of wrestling. Even just the outsiders showing up on Nitro and just walking through the crowd as Scott Hall, as Kevin Nash was groundbreaking, and everything they did really changed the wrestling industry forever and has been emulated and copied so many times since. So for me, the NWO, especially when they first started with the storyline with Sting where he was gone for a year and came back, that whole run of that NWO was excellent. It went a little further, but still number one for me is the NWO.
All right. So TK goes NWO, DX, Four Horsemen, and Evolution. Matt?
I'll say something real quick while it's fresh. You mentioned the outsiders kind of roaming through Nitro. Till this day, I think the build-up and reveal of the NWO is probably the best build-up and reveal we've ever seen in the industry.
For sure.
That's great.
For sure.
No denying that.
Geek Nation, you're on the clock, sir.
All right. So I can't talk about stables without talking about my first honorable mention, and that is Nation of Domination. The original iteration, with Crush and Savio Vega to the bigger and blacker, with D'Lo, Mustafa, and Rocky along with Farouk. It's a fantastic stable, and what they did to launch Rocky's career, fantastic. So 4 stables, the Four Horsemen. I'm wearing the Ric Flair shirt. You can't talk stables without the Four Horsemen. Most people would have them as the greatest stable ever, and it's hard to argue against that. TK was on point with everything he said. I personally prefer the Flair, Wyndham, Tully, and Arn Anderson iteration, but the Horsemen were relevant whether they had, well, except for the fact that somehow Mongo McMichael was a Horseman. Everything was good except for that. I don't know how he was on when you had Benoit and Malenko and Flair and then Mongo.
Malenko.
Yeah, just a walking disaster. But despite that, the stories they were able to tell through the NWA and Crockett Promotions and WCW, with stories with the NWO, stories with Hogan, before the turn, just fantastic. So the Horsemen have to be on there. The NWO as well as DX obviously are on there. Two sides of the same coin, and I personally will put DX above the NWO only because the NWO started off the best of any stable ever. Unfortunately, did not end well. So they had and the whole face, it was Wolfpack versus original, then the coming back together, and then the NWO Silver 2000 with Bret Hart. And,
remember the LWO?
And the Harris brothers and Slap Nuts. That was a hot mess. So great idea, but a hot mess. So they didn't end well. DX had 4 iterations, and every one was fantastic. From the original to, as TK mentioned, the second wave, to bringing back that second wave minus China, and then having the last iteration with just Shawn and Triple H. Everyone, they were always over, always great, always entertaining, and made great television. So for me, they're up there. Last one's tough. I was really going back and forth between the Triple Threat in ECW and Evolution. And the Triple Threat edged out Evolution just a little bit, and only because of how it impacted wrestling outside of the major programs. that's where Benoit and Malenko really got known in the United States, is with the triple threat with Shane Douglas. That stable carried and was the preeminent stable in ECW for its entire run, and pretty much until they went to like TNN. And then later on, when you had Bam Bam Bigelow and Chris Candido with Shane Douglas, they were still fantastic. And so many of your great matches in ECW were involving a triple threat member.
Yeah, I saw Dean Malenko, Matt. He said he was not Dean Malenko. I'm sorry. Shane Douglas said that he hated his entrance music before Triple Threat. So even after he left Triple Threat, he kept the Triple Threat music just because it was so much better. The entrance music.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
fantastic.
So he goes,
I forgot about Triple Threat. I'm glad you mentioned them. It totally slipped my mind.
So he goes triple threat, DX, NWO, and 4 Horsemen. Nick, you're on the clock, sir.
All right, so I'm going to get the first two out of the way because they've already been mentioned, but it's the 4 Horsemen and the NWO. I was going to do the safe picks. And then my next two, these are in no particular order. I have the Hart Foundation, and then also I'm going to ruffle some feathers. I have the Bullet Club on my list. With the Bullet Club,
I was just about to say, you can't be wearing the shirt and not calling it out.
Oh, yeah, you gotta get in there with the shirt.
I feel like when it comes to the Bullet Club, you can't talk about wrestling. Even you can't even look at wrestling today of the scene now and not see some pieces of Bullet Club. Obviously, in WWE, you have guys like AJ Styles, Adam Cole, Finn Balor, the Impact Tag Team Champions Gallows and Anderson, the AEW World Champ Omega. The Girls of Destiny just won the World Tag Leagues over in Japan. I think Bullet Club, it just was that major piece that really bridged the two together between New Japan and mainstream, U.S. recognition. Because I know that, that helped me get into New Japan, was seeing guys like the Elite, Kenny Omega, Marty Scurll, Adam Cole, the Young Bucks. So I think that the Bullet Club is a huge part of wrestling, and I think will continue to be a huge part of wrestling. So yeah, those are my 4.
Okay.
The club I love, but I couldn't put them on because there's nothing they've done that NWO didn't do before.
Yeah, I'm talking about like on the impact. If you look at the impact of wrestling today,
well, I was
come through Bullet Club that it made them better. A guy like Hangman Page was a glorified jobber in Ring of Honor until he was brought to New Japan, brought to the Bullet Club, and now look at him. He's going to be one of AEW's biggest stars one day.
Oh yeah, there's definitely impact. I looked at them and said, okay, well they've got crossover, they Japan feel and in US feel, but the NWO did that first. And if the NWO hadn't done that, I'd have thrown Bullet Club on myself because they've had a great impact.
So he goes Hart Foundation, Bullet Club, NWO, and 4 Horsemen. Rick, the 4 Horsewomen, like I know they have it.
Mm-hmm.
Were they ever really I know in NXT they were kind of a stable. Were they ever really like I know they established themselves as the 4 Horsewomen, but did they ever have that presence where they were all together? And I think that
so
it's a question a little bit. The 4 Horsewomen.
Absolutely. And I think for me, again, living in the kayfabe world that we are in now, even though maybe on screen we haven't seen the stable necessarily as we know it, we know how they roll, So I think that went into effect as far as me picking them. It's kind of like a futures pick, It's kind of like getting a stock while it's kind of starting to rise, I'll admit that. But again, I think my biggest takeaway from them is the fact that the dominance that we've seen in such a short period of time. And the reason why I went with them, not the main reason, but one of the reasons why I went with them, you'll notice I don't have the 4 Horsemen on my list. The 4 Horsemen I'm not going to sit here and tell you they're not an amazing stable, I had the 4 Horsemen as a possibility. I had Evolution as a possibility. And when I looked at them and then putting the 4 Horsemen as well, the one common that I saw was a flair. You know what I mean? So I felt like from one of those stables, we got to make sure there's a flair in there. I just decided to go with the ladies, man, because I think, again, I am confident that when it's all said and done, at some point, we're going to see it form. Hopefully, it's sooner rather than later. At some point, we are going to see it form on TV. I hope it's done correctly, and I think when it does happen, it's going to shake the room a bit.
Okay, so some of the people that were left off, you can say the Fabulous Freebirds, the Heenan family, Money Inc., maybe, possibly. These are some other...
The Dangerous Alliance.
Yeah.
Corporation.
Corporation.
They didn't last long enough, though.
Ministry of
No, no,
Darkness.
no.
Ministry of Darkness. So, what do we think about those guys not making the list?
Well, I tried to think of guys
short.
that lasted more than at least more than a year, like really had a good run, and guys that or factions I say that were 4 or more. I didn't go with the ones that are 3. That's why I didn't pick the Shield or the New Day because they also kind of feel closer to a tag team. That was just how I felt. But so like the Hart Foundation, I definitely thought about, and they were close. But in terms of the other ones, really, I was looking for longevity, and did it help the people who were in that stable succeed? Afterwards.
Yes, that's a big part of it. That is a big part of it. The succession beyond the state.
Yeah, I think Nick, the Hart Foundation was a great pick. I think the fact that they had Brian Pillman in there, he wasn't even family, and he added his own element to it.
I think that stemmed off of what TK said about the success. So what a good stable is what you get out of it. So obviously all the guys that came through the Hart Foundation and what they've done, that's why that was on the list.
Yeah.
My only thing, and I hate to sound negative all the time, my only thing against the Hart Foundation.
We expect it. Don't worry.
my only thing against the Hart Foundation is that everybody's career went on a downward trajectory after the Hart Foundation. No one really rose. Brett was already
because
been to the top. Brett had already been up there. Owen's career didn't go higher; it went lower. Bulldog went lower. Obviously, Pillman unfortunately passed away, and Neidhart went lower. Like no one rose out of that.
But I think part of it though,
great story,
right? But I think part of it though was they were already past their primes at that point when they got together. I think it was like 97, right? It was the biggest heel for them during that year. Everyone had already been past their primes. Like Brett was already out the door. Bulldog had already had his high peak when he was in the Continental Champion. Neidhart was always going to be a tag team. He wasn't going to be anything more than that. The only person that could have went further we wouldn't have known was Owen Hart. Was Owen because he passed away, and then Owen ended up going to the Nation of Domination after that. And I think he probably could have been WWE champion leading on. But I think Owen is the wild card to not know how far he would have went after. So I don't.
Yeah, because he had next. There were plenty of times where it looked like he was up next.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah.
We never seen it
pan out.
I think we all wanted to see it too.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so it's decision time. I think this was pretty easy. We don't have any ruffling of the feathers. Nick, who are you picking off your list?
Bullet Club. Carl, we can't not have a ruffling of the feathers. Come on.
Okay, TK.
Put this guy on there.
You let him go first.
TK.
All right. Oh, well, man. All right. So I got to go with my number 1 pick. I'm going to pick NWO.
Okay.
Rick.
I think I'm going to have to go with the Shield, man.
Oh, my God. Here we go.
Wait, how
problems? Hold on. Wait. Matt.
What?
Make your pick.
Oh, I thought you.
No, make your pick. We're going to have problems.
I can't even do anything.
It's got to be DX. Like I can't not put DX on.
So we have a problem here. NWO, DX, Bullet Club, Shield. It's a problem. 4 Horsemen is not on here.
I know.
What are we doing, guys? What are we doing?
I have to stick to my guns at Bullet Club, and TK almost proved my point when he said that it matters, what happened and how it elevates guys. Every single guy that has come through Bullet Club.
So you're not moving off Bullet Club.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though.
Bullet Club I can understand, but Shield, I don't know.
Bullet
Club. I don't like either of those picks.
Well,
Bullet Club's great, but I mean, you can't say they've moved more people to prominence than the Horsemen did.
So Nick, you're not moving off Bullet Club.
I have a whole list here of at least like almost 10 guys that are.
Okay, but Nick, you're not moving the Bullet Club off.
Nah.
So that means Rick is out because he didn't pick the 4 Horsemen. So it has to be between Tom and Matt. Are you moving DX and NWO off for the 4 Horsemen?
God.
Wow. Bullet Club got to come off, man.
Nick's not taking the Bullet Club off. Now we have a problem. Now we're ruffling feathers. This is what I'm talking about. Like you guys do this all the time. Like Nick's
you know you're getting yourself into it. You have me on.
So Nick, you're not moving the Bullet Club off.
I just can't because, like I said, if you look at what the guys that have gone through, they're world champions.
You see, Carl, this is what you get when you book CM Punk fans, okay? What you get when you book CM Punk fans.
So let me get this right. We're not moving anybody off for the 4 Horsemen. This is what we're saying.
I can't move NWO off there. My number one.
I in my opinion, the Shield wasn't really a stable. I mean, they're more.
No, come on.
but
That's
the
a
Shield was
stable.
definitely
That's
a stable. Like,
and not only
they're
that,
a
not
stable.
only was the Shield a stable, you're talking 3 bona fide top guys. All 3 of them. Bona fide top guys.
But
they
Nick,
absolutely
here's the problem, though.
And they had Triple H and Kurt Angle in there.
But Nick, here's the problem. But Nick, here's the problem. Rick doesn't have the 4 horsemen. So the 3 of you, so somebody has to move something off to put the 4 horsemen on. If not, then
just so we agree, it's never my fault. Just so we agree, it's never my
your fault because you know you didn't put them on there.
Because you, Rick, you put a backstage, never seen on camera.
Yeah, come on, Rick.
I didn't pick him at the end.
Rousey's 4 horsewoman.
Is this as bad as Rousey?
This is bad.
I'll be totally honest with you,
guys. This is bad.
Listen,
really
I'll
bad.
be totally honest. Even if I didn't go with the 4 horsewomen, it would have been Evolution for me. So I still wouldn't have had the Horsemen.
So
I'll leave that up to the 3 of y'all.
So are we satisfied with releasing this? This is what it is. Because no one's moving.
Bullet Club got to come off, man.
Nick's not biting the bullet.
I can't take the NWO off.
I have to bite the bullet, but just know anybody watching this on my Mount Rushmore, Bullet Club is on there and will always be on there.
So you're gonna sacrifice for the NWO team.
Sure. You can take the Bullet Club off and put the Horsemen on.
Okay. All right. He's doing the right thing. See, Nick, I commend you. You didn't fall under the pressure. He did the right thing. Okay.
Typical CM Punk fan.
Yep.
So we have NWO
kidding,
DX.
Nick, I love you.
We have NWO DX 4 Horsemen in the Shield. Are we satisfied?
I still don't think the Shield belong, honestly, but that's just my opinion.
Those are 3 bona fide top guys,
As
man.
much as I want to disagree with him, if you're looking at eras, right? The NWO and DX dominated the 90s, right? Evolution kind of dominated the 2000s, give or take. The Shield dominated the last decade. From like the time they appeared in like 2011 to 2020.
Well, you know what? You're right.
All Grand Slam champions. All Grand Slam champions.
And Dean Ambrose is still dominating, or John Moxley is dominating in AEW. So like, I don't see anything wrong with that pick. It's all right.
No, I just said I have my own thing where I was trying to keep it 4 and more, but it's really when you look at the Shield and you look at they came back and the success of everyone. I'm not arguing it's a good pick. It's a great pick. Shield's
and I'll be honest with you, the 4 or more thing too. That was kind of my criteria, and it was literally towards the end of me making my list where I was like, "Whoa, the Shield." I can't not put them up because that's why I gave the Freebirds. I gave the Freebirds in the New Day honorable mention specifically because it was just
because if you're looking at
what the Shield was able to do, you can't leave them
but again,
off, man.
If you're looking,
they also had Kurt Angle and Triple H, so you can call them 5.
No, well, I mean, listen,
they did sub. They did
That's
sub
true.
in.
That's true.
That's
if
true.
you're looking at the trajectory of stables, and we've seen the lack of stables, the Shield and the Bullet Club are the most relevant. You would want to say, in terms of relevancy.
And also, too, we're talking about the Shield and you're bashing CM Punk. Guess who created the Shield? CM Punk. So
I know.
Vince McMahon created the Shield.
Oh man! All right.
I would put Bullet Club above the Shield, Nick. I would put Bullet Club above the Shield, but I can't. Leaving one of them on there is fine. What?
I would put Bullet Club above the Shield just because they got over in Japan and they're over here.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
No remixes.
No. We good. So this is our final list. Our final list is NWO DX, 4 Horsemen, and the Shield. Guys, thank you for joining me here on episode 4. We got 2 more episodes to wrap up the Mount Rushmore series of its entirety. Thank you so much. Matt, you want to give a shout out to your podcast?
Yes, please follow Geek Nation's podcast, the original Geek podcast, and our pro wrestling show, Breaking Ring Rust. You can find them on any podcasting app of choice.
All right. And Nick, you want to give a shout out to yours as well?
Yeah, you can check it out on YouTube at The Wrestling Radar. Just posted our first video of 2020. So there you go. Go check it out.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you guys for joining me. Up next, we have the Managers Edition. We have Mike, Jason, Ron, and TK on that. And then episode 6, The GOAT, to close it out. So you guys take care. Please make sure you like.
And if whoever's on that show leaves off Bobby Heenan, just cancel everything. Okay.
All right.
Don't even post it.
I'll take a note of that.
I'll make sure Bobby gets on.
I appreciate it, TK.
You guys take care.
Thanks for watching the Sports Hit List. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. In fact, do it now.